Hello guys, today we take a look at the Big Five European countries versus the rest of Europe. The Big Five are Spain, Italy, France, the United Kingdom, and Germany. Let's welcome our YouTube channel members. On one side, 5 countries, on the other, more than 40. For area, the Big Five have more than 2 million square kilometers, which is 1.37% of the world's land area. The rest of Europe has 8.1 million square kilometers, accounting for 5.25%. In terms of population, the Big Five have 324.8 million people, or 4.1% of the world's population, while the rest of Europe has 423.2 million, which is 5.3%. Population density comes in at 158.3 per square kilometer for the Big Five and 52 for the rest of Europe. Looking at GDP nominal, the Big Five have $14.44 trillion, compared to $9.58 trillion. For GDP per capita, it's $44,458 versus $22,637. In PPP terms, the Big Five have a GDP of $17.82 trillion, and the rest of Europe has $16.41 trillion. GDP per capita PPP is nearly 55,000 for the Big Five and 38,375 for the rest of Europe. The gender ratio shows 991 males per 1,000 females in the Big Five, and 1,000 males per 1,004 females in the rest of Europe. For internet users, the Big Five have 295 million, covering 90.8% of their population. The rest of Europe has 333 million users, covering 78.6% of their population. The most followed religion for both regions is Christianity, with 207 million followers in the Big Five and 245 million in the rest of Europe. The number of billionaires is 315 in the Big Five and 277 in the rest of Europe. Now for the military comparison. Active personnel are 816,600 for the Big Five and 1.37 million for the rest of Europe. For battle tanks, it's 4,659 versus 21,711. Aircraft numbers are 3,707 compared to 6,773. The Big Five have 6 aircraft carriers, while the rest of Europe has 1. For submarines, it's 378 versus 89. Nuclear weapons are 508 for the Big Five and 5,984 for the rest of Europe. The defense budget is $208 billion for the Big Five and $122 billion for the rest of Europe. The strongest military power country by global military ranks is France at rank 7 for the Big Five, and Russia at rank 2 for the rest of Europe. The United Kingdom is rank 8, and Ukraine's military rank is 22. For Olympic performance, total medals are 3,698 for the Big Five and 5,040 for the rest of Europe. Gold medals are 1,177 versus 1,518. Silver medals are 1,225 compared to 1,663. Bronze medals are 1,296 for the Big Five and 1,859 for the rest of Europe. The HDI is 0.936, which is very high for the Big Five, and 0.838, also very high for the rest of Europe. The most spoken languages are German with 82 million speakers in the Big Five, and Russian with 110 million in the rest of Europe. English is spoken by 65 million in the Big Five, and Polish by 36 million in the rest of Europe. For religion percentage, Christianity is dominated by both, followed by no religion, Islam, and etc. The age structure from 0 to 14 years is 13.96% for the Big Five and 15.1% for the rest of Europe. From 15 to 64 years, it's 64.36% versus 64.3%. For those more than 65 years, it's 21.69% for the Big Five and 20.6% for the rest of Europe. Now, population growth. In 1900, the Big Five had 191 million, and the rest of Europe had 110 million. By 1925, it was 211 million versus 170 million. In 1950, it was 236 million for the Big Five and 313 million for the rest of Europe. By 1975, it was 279 million versus 381 million. In the year 2000, it was 300 million and 405 million. By 2022, it was 328.4 million for the Big Five and 423 million for the rest of Europe. The population growth rate between 1900 and 2022 was 170% for the Big Five and 384% for the rest of Europe. The birth rate is 1.54 births per woman for the Big Five and 1.47 for the rest of Europe. The death rate is 11.5 per 1,000 people for the Big Five and 11.4 for the rest of Europe. Finally, the poverty rate is 4.9% for the Big Five and 9.8% for the rest of Europe. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.